Hello again. If you were here a few weeks ago, welcome back. If you're new, perfect timing. You arrived on exactly the right day. I'm going to say something that is either very brave or very stupid, possibly both. Uh, I disappeared. Not on purpose, not by choice. Something happened, and we're going to talk about exactly what that was on Friday in full, with the kind of honesty that's probably going to make some people very uncomfortable, including, potentially, me. But today is Monday, and Monday is not for looking back. Today, I want to revisit something I said a few weeks ago, something that, judging by the number of you who watched it, shared it, and sent me messages about it at various hours of the night, clearly landed. I said, celebrity energy is simply the willingness to be seen. And I meant it. Every word. Still do. But I have spent the last 10 days learning something new about that idea. Something you can only learn when the universe decides, for reasons that are frankly none of its business, to make being seen considerably harder than planned. So today, we go deeper. Today we talk about what celebrity energy actually looks like when things go wrong. I mean, that's the real test, isn't it? Not when the lights are good and the energy is high and everything's going to plan. When it's all come apart and you still have to show up. Let's go. Let me start with a story. There is an actor. You know the name. I'm not going to use it here because this is not that kind of show, who was dropped by their agent 3 months before their breakthrough role. 3 months. If they had quit at month 2, you would never have heard of them. They didn't quit. Not because they had a plan, not because they could see what was coming, but because they had made a decision at some point, they probably couldn't even pinpoint which one, to keep showing up, regardless. That decision? That is celebrity energy. Not the highlight reel, the decision to keep going when there is no highlight reel. That's the whole thing. Here's what I've been sitting with this week. And I want you to really absorb this because it changes how I think about everything we are building here. We talk about visibility as if it is something that you achieve. You post the content, you get the followers, you build the audience, and then at some point you have arrived at visible. You are now seen. Congratulations, here's your certificate. But that's not how it works. Visibility is not a destination. It is a practice. And like all practices, all real ones, the ones that actually change you, the practice matters most precisely when you feel least like doing it. Think of the artists who you admire who went through genuinely difficult periods. They didn't hide. They kept showing up. Sometimes that is the content. Now, here's the distinction I want to draw, and this is the layer I couldn't give you last time. There are two kinds of showing up. There is showing up when you feel ready, when the lighting is right and you've had enough sleep and the content idea feels good and your energy is there and the vibe is correct and your hair is doing what hair is supposed to do, which for the record is perhaps 2 days out of 7 on a good week. And then there is showing up when none of that is true. Most people only do the first kind. They wait until they feel ready. They wait for the right moment. They wait until they've lost the weight, finished the course, sorted out the thing that's been bothering them, got a little further along with the plan. And while they were waiting, and this is the part that should genuinely alarm you, the world is moving on without them. I know, it sounds harsh. It is. The industry does not hold its breath while you collect yourself. Celebrity energy, real celebrity energy, not the Instagram aesthetic version of it, is the decision to show up in the second kind. The showing up when you're not ready, when things haven't gone according to plan, when the universe has, for reasons best known to itself, decided to throw a fairly spectacular spanner in the works. That showing up is not just content, it is character. And your audience, whether that's followers, casting directors, potential clients, or the industry at large, they feel the difference between someone who shows up when it's easy and someone who shows up anyway. They can always feel it. Always. Now, for the actors watching this, and the business owners, the entrepreneurs, the people who are trying to build something and keep asking themselves whether it's working, how many times have you talked yourself out of submitting a self-tape because you weren't feeling your best? How many times have you not posted because you thought, not today, maybe tomorrow, maybe when I've done a bit more preparation? How many times have you walked past an opportunity to be visible, a conversation you could have started, a room you could have walked into, a piece of content you could have made because you were waiting for a better moment? I have done every single one. Every one. And I can tell you from this specific week that the cost of waiting is always, always higher than the cost of showing up imperfectly. I'm not being dramatic about this, although I do have a tendency to war the dramatic, but not about this. There is a principle I keep returning to. You hold something back, your readiness, your visibility, your content, thinking you're protecting it, making it better, saving it for the right moment. And what you're actually doing is starving it. Give it away instead. Imperfect, unpolished, human. And something interesting happens. It comes back to you multiplied. The audience finds you. The industry notices the doors that were waiting for you to knock start to open. Celebrity energy in practice is not the finished product. It is the decision to be in progress, publicly, on purpose, with some degree of joy about it, even when, well, especially when, it is objectively quite difficult. And if that doesn't fully make sense yet, by Friday, it'll make complete sense. What I'll say is, this week, I'm demonstrating everything I'm telling you. Right, the lab. This week's exercise is simple, slightly uncomfortable, and directly connected to everything we've just been talking about. I want you to identify the one piece of visibility you have been putting off. Not the one that you're sort of thinking about. The one you've actually been meaning to do for weeks, possibly months. I keep finding very convincing reasons not to do. For some of you, it'll be a self-tape you haven't submitted. For some, a social media account you opened and never posted on. For some, an email to a casting director or potential client that you've been drafting in your head since January. For at least one person watching this, it's a very specific email sitting in their draft since approximately November. You know who you are. Press send. Send the email. Whatever yours is, this week, you do it. One piece of visibility, imperfect, shift this week. Not when you're ready, not when it feels right, this week. And tag me when you do it. I'll personally respond to every single one. I mean that. This is the week for showing up. Let's make some noise together. Now, the game. Hot take of the week. And this one might upset some people, which I find, frankly, quite exciting. Here it is. Authenticity on social media is mostly a performance of authenticity. Anna, before you start typing, hear me out. We live in the golden age of the authentic creator, the raw, unfiltered, no makeup, this is the real me content. The I almost didn't post this post that someone clearly spent 45 minutes deciding to post. The I'm struggling and I wanted to share that video. Ring light just out of frame, sound level suspiciously good for a spontaneous moment. I'm not saying these creators are lying. Most of them mean it. Their intention is sincere. But here's what I've noticed. Real authenticity, the stuff that actually moves people, is usually not planned. It doesn't have a hook and a call to action and a carefully chosen thumbnail. It is the thing that slips out when you weren't thinking about it. The comment that gets more traction than the video. The story you almost deleted from that same caption. Which means, and here's the paradox I find genuinely interesting. People who are most consciously trying to be authentic are often less authentic than people who are simply showing up, being themselves, and not thinking about it too hard. So the jury is still out where I personally land. Some days I think this is completely true. Other days I post something with zero planning and it's the most resonant thing I've done all week. Maybe both things are true at once. My verdict, then, complicated truth. The effort to perform authenticity often undermines authenticity. The cure is not to try harder to be real. It's to care less about the outcome and more about what you actually want to say, which is, now that I think about it, exactly what celebrity energy is. Drop your take in the comments. Do you think social media authenticity is genuine? Or is it mostly a carefully constructed aesthetic? I respond to the spicy ones first. I'm ready for the debate. Before we go, this week's question for the feed. I want to know, what is the one piece of visibility you've been putting off? Not vague, specific. Comment below. Be honest about it. I read everyone, genuinely. If yours is something I can directly help you with, it might become a future episode. Serious answers only. This is not a place for, I just need to post more. Go deeper. So, welcome to the relaunched Anthem Daily. Same show, same voice, considerably better visuals, and, I think, the version of this I've been building towards since we started. This is Being Seen Week. 5 episodes this week about visibility, why it matters, how it works, how to build it, what it costs, and what it changes. By Friday, I promise you, you'll know exactly who I am, why I built this thing, and what's coming next. It's going to be a week. If you're new here, subscribe right now. Not eventually, right now. You do not want to miss what I have to say on Friday. Tomorrow, on Technique Tuesday, we go behind the camera. Literally. The camera sees everything you hide. Every thought, every hesitation, every moment you go somewhere else in your head instead of staying in the scene. I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like and exactly what to do about it. It is a proper deep dive. So, see you